of the Merry Craftmas series. I hope you are having a fabulous day, and I'm so excited that you are joining me. I'm having so much fun creating projects for the series, and I hope that you are enjoying them too. I am co-hosting the event with my crafty BFF, Robin Pitts of Sir Chauncey Rocco Creative Designs, and I do have her linked in the description box below. To remind everyone that I do have the giveaway rules listed in the description box below, as well as a short video to verify your YouTube subscriptions. What I have created today is a Santa Pants gift bag, and I was inspired by Simply Crafty SVG and SVG Cuts, and I will link both of those stores in the description box below. I used a paper trimmer and scoreboard to create my Santa Pants. I loved the Simply Crafty ones because it had two independent legs, so I kind of merged the two together just using my scoreboard and paper trimmer. I knew when I was designing this I wanted it to have two separate legs. I just like that look, and I love the little short squatty legs. The box does measure about 11 inches tall at the top of the suspenders, and it is approximately 6 inches wide, and it is 3 inches deep. So it will hold quite a few items. I kept it simple since the person that I am gifting it to is more on the clean and simple side. And I did have to use my red glitter, and the red glitter, I did notice I had picked that up from Hobby Lobby, and I think the black, I've just had it in my stash for a while, and I do believe the white was a Doodlebug glitter paper. The gold here, I just used the gold foil that I had picked up from Michael's, and the buttons have been in my stash for a very long time. And I just tucked some tissue paper in, and I'll just spin it around here. Like I said, it's 3 inches deep, and then on the back. But I just love how it turned out. I think it is really cute. And we'll take the tissue paper out, so excuse the crinkling. And you can see down inside the box, two separate, the legs, you can see they're divided, but it will hold quite a lot of goodies. Stay tuned for the tutorial. For the Santa Pants, we need to make a template. The piece of paper I have here measures 6 by 7, and on the 6-inch side, I'm going to score down at the 1/8 inch, just about an inch. And then we're going to come to a 1/4 inch and go all the way down, 1/2 inch all the way down, and then we're going to come at 2.5, at 3, and at 3.5, and we're going to come to 5.5, 5 3/4, and 5 7/8. We're just going to come down a little bit, and then we're going to rotate it to the 7-inch side and score at 4, 4.5, and at 6. Whoops, and at 6. And then I'm going to rotate it this way, and we need to score at 2 5/8 until we meet that first score line. And then we're going to come over to 3 3/8 and score just until we get to that first score line. And the reason I have these little 1/8 inch marks is and we're trimming it off, is if I did the paper the correct width of what we will end up at, it gave me 1/16 measurements for the center and other marks. So that is why we're trimming this off, is just to keep our measurements, 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, instead of 15/16 and 3/16. It's so much easier to work with. I'm going to make a little pencil mark so you can see right here on the 1/8 inch mark. And I'm just going to lay my ruler down from that down until we get to the second score line right here. So I'm just going to lay my ruler down, and I'm going to draw a line from there until there. And from this mark until we get to this mark here, I'm going to draw a pencil mark. And we're going to do the same thing at the other side. So from this score line up until that one, I'm just going to lay my ruler down and draw a pencil mark. And then we can do another pencil mark. Okay, so we have the sides. And then here in the center, from the first and the second score line, we're going to go from this corner to this line here. And I'm just going to lay my ruler down and make a nice angled line there. And then I'm going to turn it around and do it to the square beside of it. And down here at the bottom, there's little short score lines. This is just to put a little bit of a curve in his pants right there. So I'm going over and just curving up. Whoops, went crooked. And then we're just going to cut up to draw it up to there. And I've just done the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to finish drawing it up. At this point, I am double checking. I want to make sure from this point over here to this one is 2 3/8, and it is. And this one is 2 3/8. I get my scissors, and I'm just going to cut our lines. Now that we have our template, I will go ahead and go through our measurements. And for the buckle, we are going to need a gold piece that measures 2.5 by 2 1/4. For the belt, I have 3 pieces that measure 1 3/4 by 12. So I have 3 of those. I have 2 pieces for the suspenders that are 3/4 an inch by 12 inches. And for the trim of the pants, I have 2 pieces that measure 1 1/4 inches wide by 12 inches long. And I did use a punch, and that reduced them down to 7/8 inches tall on the finished bag. And to trace the template on, I have 2 pieces that measure 6 by 7. And we will need a piece of red glitter cardstock. And then I have a piece that measures 4 inches wide by 11 1/4 inches tall. And I scored it at 1/2 inch and at 3.5 inches. And then you turned it to the 11 1/4 inch side. And I scored it at 2 3/8, 4 7/8, 5 5/8, 6 3/8, and 8 7/8. And I will have all of the measurements in the description box. And for the sides, we have 2 pieces that measure 4 by 7.5. And I scored it 1/2 inch and 3.5 inches. And on the 7.5 inch side, you'll score at 4.5 and at 7. And to cover these, which we're just going to cover in between the score lines. So we have 2 pieces for the side that measure 3 by 7. And on the legs, I only covered on the inside of the legs. And these 2 pieces measure 3 by 3 1/4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my template on both pieces of the red cardstock. I have our templates cut out, and I did double check the bottom of the pants, and they are 2 3/8 on each leg. And now we can bring in our glitter piece, and I'm just going to glue it to the back of the glitter and then cut that out. Now I have inked all of my edges, the red and the black. The white I did not do. And I used Fired Brick Distress Ink and Black Soot Distress Ink. I did burnish all of my score lines, and you want to make sure you give each one a good crease. And a little tip is when you are folding the pieces over to burnish the score lines, make sure you keep these edges lined up, because sometimes they want to go just a little bit off, and you want to make sure they stay lined up along the edges. Now what I want to do with our side pieces is I want to cut our notches out for our tabs. And on this 1/2 inch tab, I'm just taking a little bit off from the bottom and the side, and you want to make sure you do not go past your score lines, because then you would have a little hole. And so we'll do this to both tabs, and then I'm just going to fold this in half and go right up into that score line. Like I said, make sure to not go past the score line. We'll do the same thing to the other one. And now we're going to do our bottom piece, and I'm just going to miter the outside 4 corners. And now I'm going to fold over on each horizontal score line and miter. We have all of our folds mitered, and on the 2nd and 5th section we need to make little teeth along the tabs so it will curve on the inside leg. So I'm just going to do this to both of those sections. This is what our finished piece will look like. And now we can glue our glitter paper to the sides and the inside of the legs. So this is our 3x7 piece of glitter, and I am just looking to make sure that it fits in between the score lines. So you might even want to fold it in, and it looks like I need to trim a little bit off. So I'll bring my trimmer in, and I'm just going to ever so slightly just trim a tiny little sliver off of, and now it fits. When I fold it down, it fits in between the score lines. And if you do trim any off, you want to make sure to remember to ink your edge. And for the top, I'll just hold it and trim this little bit off. The top's not as important since we're going to be putting the belt on. I'm going to check this side as well. Now see, this one feels like it's okay. That one feels like it's okay. A little bit off the top of it, right inside those score lines. So now we have our glitter pieces ready to be glued down. You can see the score line all the way around. And now I'm going to glue the 2 glitter pieces to the 2 side cardstock pieces. These are glued on, and you can fold your tabs back and make sure you don't have anything hanging over. And if you would have a little piece, just take your scissors and you can run along very carefully and just trim it off. Bring in one of the pants cutouts and our bottom piece. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that over, and I am going to use my art glitter glue for it because it does dry faster. And I don't want it sliding like I did with the fabric tack. I'm just going to put glue on this first tab, line it up like so, and just folded it over and lined it up along the bottom so you can see. And now I want to give it a good burnish. I'm going to fold it up, do a little dry fit. Now I'm just going to put glue on each of these tabs. I'm going to fold it back, and I'm just going to curve this along the little curve that we made in our pattern. I'm just going to hold a couple tabs down. You want to make sure your pants, the inside of the seam is not going past the front of the pants. So I'm just picking it up and adjusting it. And now I'm going up to the next few tabs. I'm just going to pick it up and make sure we're not going past that score line. So see how it looks so far. And those, now I'm going to fold these back and put some glue on the next two tabs. And I'm just going to line those up right here, making sure they don't go past the front of the pants too much. And fold that one over. Hold it for just a second. And now I'm going to put tabs, glue the rest of the tabs down like we did on this side. What I'm going to do now for this, I'm going to put glue on these two large tabs. Just going to line those up. And then we can fold this back and make sure we get a really good seal. And then I'm going to glue these two tabs, the two top tabs. I have to push this down a little bit to get it lined up. So don't be afraid to manipulate the paper a little bit. So this side looks good. I'm going to go over here and push this one back just right there in the bottom. It's going to pucker out. And now I'm just going to reach in here and put glue on the tabs and line the inside of the legs on the tabs. And now I'm going to do the same thing to this side of the leg. Just fold the tabs back and put the glue on them. The most difficult part is putting the bottom on our pants. And now I'm going to take one of the side pieces and I'm going to put glue on this bottom tab, match it up in between on the sides, make sure our score lines here go with that edge. And you know, I have to give it a good burnish. Glue on the next tab, and go ahead and put some glue on this side as well. And you want to make sure when you're putting this in that you're pushing down, that you have a nice square at this corner, that you're not raising it up, because it's very easy to do. And just making sure the sides are lined up, and we'll turn it over and match this one up. Just reach in and run my finger along that tab, and then we'll put glue on our top tab. And do this side as well. Just lining it up along the top, like so. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so now we have our Santa pants. If your edges are not perfect at the bottom or the top, we do have our trim pieces that are going to come in, and we're going to wrap around. Have about a 1/2 inch on this side, and I'm going to cut it at about a 1/2 inch on this side. And now that we've cut that piece, I'm going to lay it on there, and I'm just going to start our curve. Just lay it there and fold it over, and then we'll trim this top piece off. Just don't go past where you folded it over to make that little score line. And I am going to use my fabric tack for this, because glitter is so hard to stick. Glitter is so difficult to glue something to it. So I'm going to use the fabric tack, and now I'm just going to lay this on here like so. And when you're doing your belt, you want to make sure the top of the belt is lined up evenly all the way around the box. So if you have any pieces, like the side pieces may not be as high as the front. I have a little spot right here. So I'm just making sure that I line the belt up along the top. And the fabric tack will give us a little bit of room to work with. And what I did now, instead of measuring, I just went ahead and laid this down, and I'm going to put a pencil mark along the edge. And now I'm going to trim this, and remember to ink any raw edges, and then this will lay there nicely. And I'm going to turn it around, and I'm just going to measure the other side. And like I said, I've got a little low spot here, so I'm just going to hold this where it matches with the front and back of the belt. Just going to fold it over and do my pencil line. And now I'm going to glue these in place. And if for some reason you would have a little piece sticking out past the front or back, you can always take your scissors and just trim it off. So for the buckle, I'm going to take one of our scrap pieces of black and cut it out at 2 inches wide by 1 3/4, which it already is. So I'm just going to cut this at 2 inches, and I'm just going to lay this to the side. So this is my front, since it looks nice and neat through there. I'm going to use this as my back. I'm just going to take this piece and line it up along the inside of his leg, and then I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm just getting those, making my little score marks by wrapping it and tucking it, and then I think that looks good. And I'm going to trim. I'm going to hold off and trim though until I get it glued on. And for this, I am going to use hot glue, and I got interrupted so you can see where I started this. So I put glue. I left part of this up. And that way, when we come around to the back, we can tuck it in underneath. We'll reach in underneath so we don't bend the pants. And I'm just going to work my way around the bottom of his pants. I'm going to keep it nice and flush along the bottom. I'm running my finger along the bottom to make sure it's lining up, that we're not going too far up as I come around to the front. Take this and just fold it in and put my glue on the inside of it. And I just pinched it to give it a nice crease right here. I'm going to leave a little bit of overhang, like so. And just fold that back down. Now I'm going to take my scissors and trim off that little piece where it's curved. I like to do it at the end, that way it matches up. So we've got the trim on the bottom of his pants. Now I'm going to do the other side. This is the front of the pants, and now we can bring our buckle pieces in. Glue on the back of the black piece that we cut. And I'm not sure if I gave the measurement of this for the black piece. It is 2 inches by 1 3/4. And I'm just going to center it on our buckle, like so. That looks good. And I almost forgot to round the corners with my 1/4 inch side of my crocodile corner chomper. Go ahead and bring in our suspender pieces, and I did cover the back of them with some red cardstock, and I am going to corner round the corners with my 1/4 inch side. So I'm going to bring the buckle back in, lay those just to the side, and I'm going to center it, and I'm going to line the black up along with the black of the belt. So I'm going to come down a little bit and just put some hot glue, since it will stick to that really chunky glitter. Now I'm going to bring in our suspenders, my finger, and kind of get it to curve a little bit, and I'm going to put some glue just on this, probably about a 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to center it between the buckle and the edge of the top. Just hold that, let it grab. And then let's kind of eyeball this. And I'm just going to come to the back and put a little bit of glue, about a 1/2 inch. Put it right about there. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. That is our Santa gift bag, and I think it is adorable. Thanks for watching the tutorial. I greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And remember, if you make a Santa Pants gift box, make sure to tag me in your post because I'd love to see what you create. Be sure to visit Robin's channel. I have it linked in the description box below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.